So, hello again. What do you do when you find that you have about an hour to do whatever you like? Personally, I treasure times like that because of a thing called my iPad, information pad. This is what it looks like. It's very tattered. As a matter of fact, I wish I could find another one just like this. What it does, it holds index cards. You see that? It holds index cards. And what I do, as I walk the garden and I have an idea, I jot down my idea. I don't edit it. I don't question it. I have an idea and I'll jot it down. For example, and the very first one, and there's a lot of them, a lot of ideas that I want to talk about. The very first one, I have daffodils. Why this time of the year? Then I have water fountains. Who built it? And why don't we know the architect? And then I have another one, a stream. Again, who built the stream? Who designed this stream? And why don't I know who the diviner is? And on it goes, on it goes. And it has one here, happiness. Share your secrets for happiness. But like I said, I have hundreds of these things. And when I go to the garden and I see something, I will be inspired to jot down a little note so someday I will want to talk about them. Today, for example, I have about an hour, and I wanted to talk about, I want to talk about three things. Number one, I want to talk about getting old. Now, I know that you're a young person, and quite frankly, the idea of getting old is simply not in your mind. I mean, when I was young, especially when I was around 19 years old, 18 years old, I thought anyone 30 years old was very old. As a matter of fact, I even questioned why are they that old. So I understand how young people think. But I want to tell you a little bit about getting old. First of all, in our culture, when you get old, you're simply in the way. Not because your kids don't love you, they do. And not because your relatives don't care, because they do. But you got to understand that in our culture, you are programmed to get a job. And once you have that job, you're programmed to maintain that job. In other words, you've got to live in the right house, you've got to drive the right car, you've got to dress the right way. So what happens? The job simply pay for the resources that are necessary for you to keep the job. You see what I mean? That's the nature of our culture. And then when you get older, what happens? You realize that none of it was all that important. What was really important, what you did not get a chance to do, is to be yourself. And you look back and say, gee, why didn't I know that? Why didn't I take time for myself? Well, you didn't because the culture wouldn't allow you to do that. So, when you get old, what happens is that you do videos like this in your housecoat because you realize some things are just not that important. When you get old, you formulate your ideas based upon your experience and knowledge and from wisdom that you have gleaned from others. And the one thing that you find out is that there is no one in this entire world like you. You're one of a kind. One of a kind. And then you have this idea that I want to share what I know with other people. I want to share. The trouble is when you get old, you don't have an audience anymore. But you still want to share. You understand? So the thing is, when you get old, you have choices. You can keep sharing, make a nuisance of yourself like I do. I make videos that nobody watches, but that's okay. Or you can shut down. You can say to yourself, well, nobody gives a damn anyway, so why bother? So you shut down. Or if you're lucky enough to live in a society like in Japan, you can't wait to pass along the information that you have learned with your grandchildren. See, there is a marriage between grandparents and grandchildren. They understand this marriage in Japan. What happens is the parents, they're very, very busy sustaining their job, making an awful lot of money to be comfortable and to sustain their job. The grandparents, well, we have lived our lives. And the children, well, they sometimes just get in the way and ask a lot of questions. So why not have the grandparents and the children get together? So in Japan, they want the grandparents to live with them. Well, not only do they take care of the little kiddies, but they share to the kids traditions and culturally and things that are culturally important. Do you understand? Here in the Western world, of course, it doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't happen that way. The kids are very busy doing what they do, so they want the grandparents out of the way. That's why we have so many adult care homes. Adult care homes. Or, if you're rich enough, you'll have somebody to come into your house to take care of your old folks. You don't have time to do that anyway. So, that's another thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about caregivers. And when you go into the hospital, if you've never spent some time in a hospital, consider yourself very fortunate. I have spent times in a hospital, 3, 4, maybe 5 times in a hospital. And the doctor comes in and he puts his eyes on your chart. And he looks at your chart. He doesn't look at you. He looks at your chart, and if he asks you a question, he expects you to answer, and he checks it off, or he puts a note. Then he puts your chart down, and then he leaves. You're then left there in the hospital with your caregiver. Your caregiver will be a registered nurse or a licensed practical nurse or a nurse of some sort. And that is your outlet to the world. If you happen to get into a really good hospital, that nurse will not only talk to you, even though nurses are overworked, but she will spend some time, or he will spend some time with you to make you feel as if you have some value. Nurses, caregivers, nurses, they are worth their weight in gold. Other caregiver is if you happen to be dumped in or placed into an adult care home. I use the term dumped deliberately because some adults do exactly that. They dump their parents into an adult care home because they are a nuisance. The old folks have become a nuisance. So what happened is this. The caregiver in the adult care home is your lifeline to the world. And they are worth their weight in gold. The problem is they're never, ever paid enough. They're not. But they are the ones that make you feel good. They are the ones that give you life. They are the ones that are there for you. But I want to tell you something. They have little tricks that they do in these adult care homes. They will put the television on Fox News or CNN or something like that, and there you are in your adult care home, especially if you're in a bed and you're stuck watching CNN or Fox News about things you can do nothing about. Nothing about. Now, here's my thing. They do that because they hope that you're going to be entertained and you will ring the buzzer less. Now, if you can understand what I'm talking to you about, I want you to do this, okay? This is very important. I want you to tell your caregiver to put the television on YouTube on my channel, okay? It's the Microdac Nature channel. I want you to do that because on the Microdac Nature channel, all you have are nature videos. I don't even talk. And quite frankly, they will make you feel good. They will take you to the outside world. They will allow you to sleep well. And you won't get anxious about things that you can do nothing about. So tell your caregiver to take that television off CNN or Fox News or whatever and go to the Microdac Nature channel. Okay? So, I'm an old person and I just shared with you some thoughts as I see them. And I wanted you to appreciate your caregiver because I got to tell you, they are worth their weight in gold.